People here. I fed a starving Vulpine child, and their minds sprint straight into the gutter, like it paid rent there. Relax. This isn't that kind of story. It's the kind where you do one decent thing on a Tuesday, and the universe responds by dropping paperwork, interstellar law, and a fox-eared problem on your doorstep like a guilt-powered subscription service you never signed up for. I'm not a hero. I'm not even consistently hydrated. I'm the kind of adult who owns 3 mismatched mugs and calls it a set. My apartment is a small, quiet box with thin walls and cheaper dreams. The loudest thing in it most days is the refrigerator deciding to live another hour. If there's an award for surviving on microwave noodles and optimism, I'd still be in 3rd place behind college students and raccoons. So when I say my life changed because I fed someone, I mean it literally. Mostly. It started behind the grocery strip, where the dumpsters sit like shameful little confession booths. I'd gone out for the responsible adult ritual of buying something green to convince myself I was fine. I came out with a bag that contained 1 sad bunch of spinach and 3 items that could legally be classified as regrets. That's when I saw her. Small, low to the ground, half hidden behind a stack of broken pallets. Not a kid in a hoodie. Not a stray cat. Something else. She had fox-like ears that twitched with the kind of hyper-alertness you only see in animals and people who've been let down by systems. Her hair, fur, was a rust gold mess, and her cheeks looked too hollow for a face that young. Her hands were small and clever, picking through discarded packaging like she knew exactly what humans throw away and when. I froze. She froze harder. Her eyes locked on mine. Big, dark, too intelligent. The kind of eyes that make you feel like you're the one being observed. And I felt it, something deeply human and deeply stupid. The urge to help, immediately without a plan because she looked hungry and scared, and my brain has one setting when it sees that combination. The adult part of me tried to do the checklist. Is this a scam? Is this dangerous? Should I call someone? Should I not approach the mysterious dumpster foxchild? The other part of me, the part that still remembers being small and ignored, was already stepping forward. Hey, I said in the voice people use for skittish animals and emotional situations they're underqualified for. It's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you. She didn't run. She didn't come closer either. She just watched me with the tense patience of someone used to waiting out threats. I was halfway through typing how to tell if a fox alien is dead into my search bar when the air in my living room changed. You know that feeling when a storm is about to break but hasn't yet? That pressure shift that makes your ears feel weird and your instincts start filing complaints? That. The lights flickered. My phone lost signal. The temperature dropped just enough that my skin noticed. I turned, heart sprinting, brain still jogging. She stepped in. Tall. Not in a threatening way, more in a commanding way. Like gravity had decided to wear fur and authority. Her frame was sleek, powerful, wrapped in layered garments that looked ceremonial and tactical at the same time. Her ears were longer than the child's, her eyes sharper, her presence intentional. I had never seen a mother look more ready to start a war. She took one look at the child on my couch, wrapped in my blanket, peacefully unconscious, and then she looked at me. Slowly. Deliberately. The way someone looks at a man who is about to be reclassified as a historical mistake. My mouth opened. Nothing useful came out. She spoke, and my translator app, bless its optimistic little heart, lagged for a full 2 seconds before coughing up a version of her words that sounded like courtroom poetry. You have interfered with a sanctioned biological process. I raised both hands immediately because my brain has watched too many crime shows. I can explain. You have claimed a dependent. I absolutely did not. You have nourished. With good intentions. You have bonded. Emotionally? Probably. Legally? No. Her eyes narrowed. Explain. I gestured helplessly. She was starving. The word triggered something in her. Not anger. Not relief. Horror. She took a step closer to the couch, scanned the child's body with a device that shimmered like liquid glass, and let out a sharp breath. You disrupted her hibernation cycle. I gave her buns, I said weakly. She was meant to appear malnourished. On purpose. Yes. I stared at her. She stared back. We stared at each other like two beings from different dimensions who had just discovered we were roommates. She was literally scavenging behind a dumpster. I said, "That's not a strategy. That's a cry for help. It is a survival instinct. It's trash. It is resourceful. It's banana peels and regrets." Her jaw tightened. "You humans and your emotional overreactions." "Oh, I'm sorry," I snapped, because fear makes me sarcastic. Next time I see a tiny being starving, I'll just let nature do its thing.
She studied me. Slowly.
Like she was trying to understand a concept that offended physics. "You do not understand," she said. "My species enters a deprivation state before a long cycle rest. We lower metabolic output. We become vulnerable. It is part of our growth. Your kids fake starvation to nap better? They do not fake it. They experience it. That sounds worse." Her gaze flicked to the child, then back to me. "You interrupted the process." I swallowed. "Is she going to be okay?" She hesitated. My stomach dropped. "She will live," the mother said carefully. "But the cycle is broken." "What does that mean?" "It means," she said, "that she bonded." I blinked. "With food? With you?" That word hit harder than it should have. "Bonded how?" I asked. She straightened. "Legally. Culturally. Neurologically. Pick one."
All.
I laughed because sometimes that's the only way not to scream.
No, no, no.
I fed her. That's it. That's the whole story. I didn't sign anything. "In our law," she said, "sustained nourishment during vulnerability establishes guardianship." I stared at her. "You can't just decide that." "We did." "You can't just." "We already have." She tapped something on her wrist. My phone chimed. A document popped up. I glanced at it, then stared, then scrolled, then stared harder. It was official. Too official. With seals and clauses and terms like emotional custodianship and cycle disruption responsibility. My name was already on it. "I didn't sign that," I said. "You accepted her bowl," she replied. "That's not how signatures work." "It is for us." I ran a hand down my face. "So, what? You're here to take her back?" She tilted her head. "Why would I do that? Because she's your kid? She is now yours as well." I made a sound that cannot be typed. "You fed her," she said. "You provided warmth. You spoke to her. You allowed her to sleep without fear. You triggered emotional imprinting." I didn't mean to. No one ever does. "That doesn't make this okay." "In our culture," she said calmly, "it makes you responsible." I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. "What does responsible mean?" I asked slowly, in this context. Her ears flicked.
Housing.
Protection.
Sustenance.
Emotional stability. I blinked. "Those are just parenting words." "Yes." I looked at the child on my couch.
Small.
Wrapped in my blanket. Asleep like she trusted me. I felt something tighten in my chest. "No," I said. "No, I can't. I'm not. I can barely take care of myself." "Then you will learn," she replied. By the third day, my apartment had stopped feeling like my apartment. It now felt like a poorly planned cultural exchange program run by idiots. I woke up to the sound of clicking. Not rhythmic. Not mechanical. Just deliberate. Like someone was counting reality. I opened my eyes and saw the mother standing in my kitchen, staring at my refrigerator with visible distrust. "You are hiding nutrients," she said. "It's a fridge." "It hums," she replied, suspiciously. "That's called cooling." "Why is it louder at night?" "It's judging me." She turned slowly. "Explain." I rubbed my face. "It keeps food from spoiling. Food decays." "Yes." "You preserve decay." "Also yes." She nodded. Horrifying. I rolled onto my back and stared at the ceiling, wondering how I'd gone from single and tired to cohabiting with two alien fox people because I bought sweet buns. The child was on the floor, surrounded by my laundry. She had constructed some kind of nest out of my hoodies and socks. She was humming.
Softly.
Off-key.
Comfortably.
She looked better. Color in her cheeks. Energy in her movements. Less tremble. And, the worst part? She looked happy. She spotted me awake and perked up, scampering over like I was some kind of emotionally compromised furniture. She climbed onto the couch beside me and pressed her forehead against my arm. I froze. The mother watched this like a scientist witnessing a dangerous chemical reaction. She is reinforcing the bond, she said. She's leaning, I whispered. Kids do that. In our culture, it is a claim. I swallowed. Of course it is. The child made a please sound and nestled closer. I did not move. My heart was doing something inconvenient. I sat up slowly. Okay. Rules. We need rules. Rules are hierarchical, the mother said. I don't care. We're making human ones. She tilted her head. We will observe. Rule 1, I said, pointing at the fridge. This is food. You don't interrogate it. I will tolerate it, she said. Rule 2, don't translate my idioms literally. She frowned. Your language is chaos.
Yes.
Adapt. Rule 3, I continued. No scanning my bathroom.
She paused.
You scan my bathroom. It radiates vulnerability. That's because it's a toilet. Why do you sit? Moving on. I made breakfast, toast, eggs, something I could handle without burning down the kitchen. The child watched every movement like I was performing ritual magic. When I handed her a plate, she hesitated. Then she looked at her mother, who nodded. She took it.
Slowly.
Then she smiled. And I swear to God, that smile hit me harder than any legal document. The mother observed everything. How long do humans typically retain dependents? She asked. 18 years. She blinked. Your species is absurd. Tell me about it. Why would you invest so much in a being that may abandon you? I shrugged. Because they might not. She stared at me like that answer was unacceptable. By day 4, I realized something else. They weren't just staying. They were adapting. The child mimicked me constantly. She tried my posture, my expressions, my tone. She attempted sarcasm once and accidentally insulted a lamp. The mother studied my habits with disturbing intensity. You ingest stimulants daily, she noted, watching me drink coffee. Yes. For emotional regulation? For survival. You rely on ritual. I rely on caffeine. Same. I took them outside once. That was a mistake. The child was fascinated by everything.
Cars.
Birds.
Wind.
A plastic bag that had achieved sentience. The mother was alarmed by everything. This world is unshielded. We have sunscreen. You expose your young to open sky. We call it outside. She watched a group of human kids running and laughing. They are loud. They're happy. That is inefficient. I laughed. She didn't. Everywhere we went, people stared. Not aggressively, just curiously. I couldn't blame them. A tired man walking with 2 fox-like aliens tends to attract attention. The child didn't care.
She held my hand.
I froze again. The mother's eyes narrowed. Unhand him, she told the child. The child tightened her grip. He is not a tree, the mother said. The child said something in her language, rapid and emotional. The translator spat out. Mine warm safe. My chest did something stupid. I crouched down.
Hey.
You don't have to. She pressed her forehead to my knee. I swallowed. The mother looked away. By day 6, I was exhausted. Not physically. Emotionally. They didn't leave. They didn't hide. They existed with full intensity. The child laughed.
Loud.
She cried when a cartoon character fell. She asked questions constantly. The mother asked fewer questions. She observed more. One night, after the child had fallen asleep on the couch, my blanket, my life, I found the mother standing by the window. You should not be doing this, she said. What? Staring dramatically? This, she said, gesturing vaguely at everything.
Bonding.
I leaned against the wall. You told me it was inevitable. It is dangerous. For who? She hesitated. For us, she said. You're the one with the laws. Our laws are designed to prevent this, she replied. Attachment without purpose. Prolonged emotional dependence. Cross-species imprinting. I shrugged. We do that all the time. Your species is unstable. Correct. She turned to face me. You give without expectation.
Yeah, well.
Don't tell my landlord. You allow her to touch you. She's a kid. You allow her to see your weakness. I'm not hiding. That is not strength, she said. It is for us. She studied my face. Why? I thought about it. Because pretending you're fine all the time is exhausting. That seemed to unsettle her more than anything else I'd said. You do not maintain dominance. I barely maintain my schedule. You do not enforce hierarchy. I barely enforce bedtime. She watched the child sleeping. She is changing. So are you. She did not deny it. The next day, I found the mother attempting to cook. She had disassembled my microwave. It refused to answer my questions, she said. I stared. You can't just interrogate appliances. You interrogate emotions. That's different. She placed raw vegetables into a pan, uncut, unseasoned, and turned the heat to something that should be illegal. I intervened. We argued. She burned rice. I burned patience. The child laughed. Later, while I was cleaning up, the mother stood beside me. You're tired, she said. Yes. You could return us.
No.
The words slipped out. I froze. She turned slowly. No. I stared at the sink. I don't know how. And she's comfortable. That is not a reason. It is for me. Silence stretched. She is safer with her kind, the mother said. I'm not unsafe, I replied. You are fragile. So is she. She inhaled slowly. You have no defense. I have a baseball bat and unresolved childhood issues. Your planet is hostile. So is yours. She didn't argue. That night, the child had a nightmare. She cried out in her language, panicked, flailing. I was up before I realized I was moving. I knelt by the couch.
Hey.
Hey, it's okay. She grabbed my shirt like she was drowning. I held her. The mother watched from the doorway. The child buried her face into my chest and sobbed. I felt it then. Fully. The danger. Not legal. Not diplomatic. Emotional. If they left, it would hurt. If they stayed, it would hurt. Humans were not built to do this safely. We were built to feel too much and call it love. The mother spoke quietly. She did not dream before. I looked up. What? Her cycles were dreamless. Now she dreams. I swallowed. Is that bad? It is new. I held the child until she slept again. The mother sat across from me. You have altered her, she said. I nodded. I know. And you, she added. You have altered yourself. I huffed. That's what kids do. She looked at me, long and searching. Why do humans invite this suffering? She asked. I thought about it. Because it's the good kind, I said. She frowned. There is no good suffering. Yeah, I said. That's what we keep telling ourselves too. She glanced at the child, then back at me. You did not feed her, she said. Yes, I did. No, she corrected. You made her stay. My throat tightened. And now, she added, so will we. I didn't answer. I just held the child a little closer. And for the first time since this all started, I realized something terrifying. I didn't want them to leave. By the time the official notice arrived, I had already accepted that my life was no longer mine. It came through my phone, my laptop, and, because the universe enjoys redundancy, projected itself directly onto my living room wall in glowing, politely ominous letters. Interstellar Cultural Intervention Status. Active. Human Classification. Emotionally hazardous. Subject. Unlicensed cross-species bonding. Status. Under review. I stared at it. The mother stared at it. The child poked it. It tickles my eyes, she said. I rubbed my face. I'm going to jail. Space jail. Overfeeding jail. The mother folded her arms. Your species has no consistent emotional restraint. That's not a crime. It should be. The message scrolled. Due to repeated incidents of human-induced emotional imprinting, your species is now under observation. I laughed. A hysterical, sleep-deprived laugh. Oh, good, I said. We're contagious now. You always were, the mother replied. I collapsed onto the couch. The child immediately climbed onto me like I was a piece of furniture she'd claimed in a previous life. She curled up, content. The mother watched. You realize, she said, that if the council intervenes, they may relocate her. My body stiffened. To a regulated environment, she continued. With others of her kind.
Structured.
Controlled. Safe. I swallowed. She's safe here. She is emotionally compromised here. She's a kid. She is forming attachments that will not be reciprocated by her species. I looked down at her ears twitching in sleep, at the way she breathed easier when she was touching me. You mean she's becoming human, I said. The mother didn't answer. The council sent representatives. They didn't knock. They manifested. 3 of them, tall and shimmering, like bureaucracy, had learned how to float. Their forms were vaguely humanoid but wrong in subtle, deeply unsettling ways. Human, one of them said, its voice vibrating through the air like a polite earthquake. You are in violation of multi-system emotional conduct. I fed a kid, I said. You interfered with a survival cycle. She was starving. She was preparing. For what? A dramatic nap? The child peeked at them from behind my arm. One of the beings tilted its head. The dependent shows advanced imprinting. She shows advanced being a kid, I snapped. You are projecting. I am parenting. The word came out before I thought about it. The mother turned slowly. The council representatives paused. That is a legally loaded term, one said. I swallowed. Good. They began listing things.
Stats.
Readings. Cultural violations. Neurological changes. Emotional anomalies. They talked about her like she was a malfunctioning device. I stood up. Stop, I said. They paused. I was shaking. Not from fear. From anger. She's not a problem, I said. She's a person. She is a dependent. She is a kid. She is a biological entity experiencing unauthorized emotional growth. That's called growing up, I said. They turned their attention to me. You are unstable, one said. Yes, I replied. That's our brand. You risk damaging her species' long-term psychological uniformity. Good, I said. Uniformity sucks. The mother said nothing.
They told me what would happen.
They'd take her. They'd place her in a regulated environment. They'd monitor her emotional output. They'd reduce attachment. They'd reset her cycle. I looked at her. She was awake now, watching me. She didn't understand the words, but she understood tone. She stood, walked to me, wrapped her arms around my leg. Mine warm safe. My chest felt like it was cracking. I'm not special, I said. I don't have power. I don't have authority. I barely have savings. But she is not a mistake. She is becoming something unnatural, they said. I laughed. Welcome to Earth. One of them turned to the mother. You will comply. She didn't respond. I looked at her. She was staring at the child. Not like a scientist. Like a mother. She dreams, she said suddenly. The council paused. She laughs, she continued. She asks why. She questions hierarchy. She disobeys when she feels safe. They said nothing.
She is changing, the mother said. Yes.
But not degrading. She looked at me. She is becoming more. That word echoed. The council processed. She will not reintegrate, one said. She already hasn't, the mother replied. They turned back to me. You cannot provide what her species requires. I swallowed.
No.
But I can give her what she needs. Define need. I looked down at her. She was holding on to me like I was gravity. To feel like she matters, I said. Not because of a cycle, not because of a law, because she exists. Silence.
Long.
Uncomfortable. One of the council members spoke. Human emotional structures are inefficient. Correct. They generate long-term vulnerability. Yes. They lead to loss. All the time. They create irrational bonds. That's the point. They analyzed, calculated,
Compared.
Finally, one of them said, "This level of attachment is unprecedented." "Welcome to family," I replied. The mother stepped forward. "If you remove her," she said, "you will damage her beyond what this human ever could." They hesitated. She placed a hand on the child's head. "She is chosen." They turned to the child. She stared back. Then, in careful, clumsy English, she said, "Stay." That was it. That was the whole argument. The council representatives exchanged silent data. Then one of them said, "Temporary cultural exception granted." I exhaled so hard I nearly passed out. "Conditions apply," it added. "Of course they do," I muttered. They listed them. Monitoring. Restrictions. Reporting. I barely listened. They left. The wall went blank. The room felt too quiet. The child looked up at me. "Stay?" she asked again. I knelt. "Yes," I said. "You stay." She smiled. The mother watched. Later, after everyone had gone, after the shock had settled into something heavy and real, the mother sat beside me. "You fought for her," she said. "I fought for me," I replied. "I just didn't want to say goodbye." "That is not logical." "I know." She looked at the child, now asleep against my side. "She will never be what she was meant to be," the mother said. "None of us are," I replied. She considered that. "You are not strong," she said. "Nope." "You are not dominant." "Nope." "You are emotionally exposed. All the time." "And yet," she said quietly, "you are dangerous." I raised an eyebrow. "You make others stay," she explained. I laughed softly. "I didn't mean to." "That is what makes it worse." Weeks passed. Then months. The council sent messages. People stared. News spread. Humans became known as cycle breakers. Emotionally infectious. Diplomatic hazards. The child grew. Not fast, but differently. She laughed louder. She asked more questions. She started calling me something that sounded suspiciously like Dad, but translated as food home. I accepted it. The mother changed too. She stopped standing so rigidly. She stopped scanning every room. She sat on the couch. She asked questions. Not for data. For understanding. One night, she said, "I do not regret staying." I blinked. "You're welcome?" That was not gratitude. It sounded like it. She studied me. "You humans do not fear emotional damage." "Oh, we do," I said. "We just accept it as the price." "For what?" I looked at the child, asleep between us, clutching my sleeve. "For meaning," I said. She nodded slowly. "I am beginning to understand why your species is feared." "Because we're soft?" "Because you make others soft," she replied. I smiled. Life didn't become easier. It became fuller. More chaotic. More expensive. More loud. More emotional. The child learned human sarcasm. That was a mistake. The mother learned human humor. That was worse. And me? I learned that kindness is not a moment. It's a commitment. I fed a starving Vulpine child. Not just with food. With presence. With safety. With a place to stay.
And now?
They both lived with me. Not because of law. Not because of obligation. Because they chose to. And, apparently, that made humanity the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Emotionally. Every single time. If you want, I can now.